Hey, it's our weekly streaming show, and here's a sneak peek at our top streamer of the week. Go get you some Jordan Love, rostered in just 31% of Yahoo leagues, coming off a 3-touchdown performance against the division rival Bears. He'll face the Falcons this week, who should put up more of a fight than the Chicago defense did, but he should still be able to produce against a defense that was ranked 23rd in AFPA to opposing quarterbacks last year. Hurry up and roster him before it's too late. Now let's get to the show. Welcome, everyone, to the Most Accurate Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Niles. With me is my excellent co-host, the venerable Jen Akins. Jen, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm ready. Here we are, week 2. We actually have football to talk about. No more, prognosticating and ADPing. We have actual football. So yeah, I'm good. I'm excited. It's finally fall here in the Mile High City. At least for now. It could be 90 in 2 days, but at the moment, it's fall. So I'm loving that. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been, lots of meetings today, so I'm happy to be able to, kick my shoes off and just have, a nice chat with you, Jen, and just kind of hang with the people coming to join us in the chat room, which we will get to those questions that are popped up or that have already popped up, I promise. Welcome to our weekly streamers show where we highlight the quarterbacks, tight ends, kickers, and team defenses you should be targeting as streaming options for the upcoming week. Before we get to that, before we get to the questions, I do want to talk about something going on Underdog real quick. Throughout September, we'll be discussing some players to target in Underdog's Battle Royale and Mini Royale before we dig into the streaming options. Think of these contests like DFS, GPP tournaments, except you select players via snake draft rather than salary cap constraints. We're looking for unique but not too contrarian players in great spots for success. So we each kind of picked someone that we want to talk about. I went pretty contrarian and a little bit deeper on this one. I went with Treylon Burks. Plays against the Chargers. They were absolutely torched by Miami's receivers last week. Seems like he's healthy. He played in kind of a limited capacity last week. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is the obvious play for Tennessee, but I like Burks. I like the talent. He showed some flashes last year. And, we know what Tyreek Hill did against the Chargers last week, but Jalen Waddle had 478. Berrios had 342. River Craycraft even got into the action at 3 for 40 yards.
River Craycraft.
River Craycraft, yeah, former Bronco. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
They had no trouble finding receptions against this defense. So I'm going after Treylon Burks as kind of a deep option in those Underdog tournaments that are fun to play in. Jen, who's your target this week on Underdog?
So I went kind of similar to you, right? I went wide receiver 2. I went Mike Williams. I feel like Mike Williams against the Titans. He had a disappointing week last week, and I feel like a lot of people may be off of him and not draft him. He was evaluated for a concussion. He did come back. The Titans allowed 40.3 half PPR points to the New Orleans receivers last week. So I feel like when people are going through those drafts, Keenan Allen, click, and they may just kind of skip Mike Williams. So I feel like he might be a guy in those Royales who could pay off.
I love that about week 1, that there's always the overreactions about people who do well, but there's also the overreactions about people who don't. And so I like that. Go grab you some Mike Williams. I'm a fan of that. If you're not a member at 4for4 right now, go to 4for4.com/plans. Use the promo code YouTube and you save 25% off any membership right now. So that's promo code YouTube, 4for4.com/plans. Let's hit a couple questions and then we'll get into our streaming options of the week. Let's start. Matthew Wilson wants to know what to do with Mark Andrews being out. I just want to acknowledge that there are some good tight ends to play and to stream. We're going to get to those later. Also wants to know if Hayden Hurst, Hunter Henry, or Luke Musgrave are the tight ends that they should go after. I think, lots of upside on all 3 of those guys. I was really encouraged by Hurst's target share and by the connection he had with, with the rookie Bryce Young. Jen, which of those 3 tight ends would you prefer rest of season?
Rest of season, I would probably go either Henry or Musgrave. I get the Hayden Hurst love. I don't believe that it's going to last. I feel like it's a little bit of fool's gold. I could be wrong. But I feel like those, Hunter Henry, I think he's established there as that tight end 1. I don't think Mike Gesicki, as you know, we're not Mike Gesicki fans on this podcast to begin with. And so Hunter Henry is the guy I was drafting from that room anyway. And Luke Musgrave, right now, I think he's, proving to kind of, be one of those guys that breaks the rookie tight end can't produce curse thing. And there's a couple right now actually that are doing that. So I don't need either one of them. I will say Mark Andrews, though, at the moment is not out this week. It is a quad. It's not anything major. So I don't know that we need to panic and uh, try to fill his spot for rest of season. If it were me, which I do have Mark Andrews in a league, I'm going to stream until he comes back.
Yeah, let's hope he comes back soon. I have some Mark Andrews shares that definitely need to get back on track as well. Thank you very much for the question, Matthew Wilson. Hi, Samson. Thank you for chiming in with your sadness on Mark Andrews as well, sharing in our in the sadness that we feel with Mark Andrews missing week 1. Deesh has a question. Was able to get Kyron Williams before the game, but the running back room is hurting after J.K. Dobbins, unfortunately, is out for the season. They have Derrick Henry. They have Kyron Woods. They have Jalen Warren. They have DeAndre Swift, Devon Chain. And then, so they want to know Joshua Kelly, or should they take a shot on a Baltimore back? I would swap out a Chain for Gus Edwards if you can. But outside of that, I think you're probably okay to kind of get by right now. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I mean Swift is a little concerning. I think that they'll get him the ball. I don't think that will remain. I think he had 2 carries. I think that Swift will be fine. Of course, he's a mild concern. I think the problem is we don't know the extent of Austin Eckler's injury quite yet. So if it's minor, I think Kelly will kind of go back to obscurity there. So, like you said, I would rather go with Gus Edwards or Justice Hill, who got more of the goal line work. Mm-hmm. They're probably both going to be pretty pricey if you are in a league with Fab or a high waiver wire. I think most people are probably going to go for them, just considering the fact that Dobbins is out for the season. So there's no doubt there that they have to fill that role. But you have good running backs. Like I don't think that you need to panic there. That's for sure.
Someone I don't hate adding is Chris Evans for the Bengals, but that's not someone you can start next week. It's just someone to kind of hold on to. He just looks like the best pass catching back in Cincinnati. So I was encouraged by his usage on an otherwise forgettable day for the Bengals in general.
Yes. My team with Burrow on it is not happy.
Not doing well. Yeah, I have Daniel Jones on a roster, and the only explanation I have for the Giants, what happened Sunday night, I think what happened was Daniel Jones went in and got his bagel from the bagel table, and then just swooped all the rest of the bagels into his bag and ran out cackling. And then when the rest of the team got there, they saw all the bagels were gone, and they said, blasted Daniel Jones. And then they decided to teach him a lesson. That's the only explanation I think for what happened.
Okay, this bagel theory, is this a thing? I mean, is there a bagel table, or you just made up the bagel? Okay.
I just made up a bagel table. Yeah.
Is it because it's New York and you feel like there's a bagel table in New York? Is that where you're going with that?
Do all teams not have a bagel table? I would assume every team and every organization in the country have a bagel table.
I mean, bagel table is a word that is just new to me right now, honestly. I wasn't aware that was a thing.
You haven't been told about the 4 for 4 podcast bagel table?
Okay, listen. I've been at 4 for 4 for 8 years, and I've never been given a bagel. So
oops, maybe I wasn't supposed to tell you.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, don't.
All right, my apologies. I need to get to the streamers. That's all my fault for derailing us here. As a reminder, we only discuss the streaming option if they're available in 40% or less of Yahoo leagues. So if your favorite option isn't discussed, they're probably rostered in too many leagues. I brought up Jordan Love at the top of the show. Your impressions of Jordan Love and that Green Bay offense for week 1. I'm going to give you a compliment on Romeo Doubs because you've been talking about him for months, and he came out and had a very nice week 1. How real do you think Jordan Love is, and how much of it was a terrible Chicago Bears defense?
I think it was kind of a combo. I think that he was good, and I think that the horrible defense kind of covered up maybe some of the bad decisions and some of the bad plays that happened that could have gone another way had it been a stouter defense per se. But it was definitely encouraging. I will say this as far as Romeo Doubs, like I can't victory lap the Christian Watson injury because we don't know what would have happened there had he would have been there. But I've been on Doubs all year, so I was thrilled to see him succeed there. But with Watson back, we'll see what happens. But I think it's absolutely encouraging for Love because it was scary this summer. Like we're all drafting him and we're drafting his pieces and we're like, it's such a small sample. We have no idea if this kid can throw or what he can do. So I think it was very, very encouraging. We have to kind of see as he gets, more as he faces more defenses, what's to be. But I do like it. I think it's great, and I think he's a guy like you said that is going to be available on a lot of a lot of leagues. So for people that need streamers, people that need backups, people that had Aaron Rodgers, perhaps can now draft his former backup.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. All right. Tyler O has a question, wants to know basically a second quarterback and their second receiver starter, I think. So CJ Stroud or Jimmy G, because obviously you're starting Patrick Mahomes. So CJ Stroud or Jimmy G. Jimmy G looked pretty good. I don't know. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I mean, he was fine. I mean, everyone was so concerned about him this offseason, and he's exactly who we thought he was going to be. He's serviceable. He's fine. Yeah.
Looks pretty good. And then Christian Kirk or Michael Pittman Jr. I like both of them. I think Christian Kirk is going to get better usage than he did in week 1, although it does look like he is the slot receiver. Michael Pittman is the number 1, so I'd probably side with Pittman since it looked like a pretty good connection in week 1, but I don't know how much of that's recency bias. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I would say. Mm-hmm. I would go Pittman just based on what we saw last week.
Okay, excellent. My next quarterback, this is someone I don't really like season long, but I do like this week against the Dolphins. Mac Jones is at home against Miami. He's going to be really unpredictable. He looked awful in the first half against Philly. They got down really far, and then he started throwing all over the place. I think that could happen again. I think it could be another situation where the Dolphins kind of try to make it a track meet. The defense gave up a lot of points to the Chargers, though not necessarily a lot of fantasy points to Justin Herbert. But Mac Jones, I think will need to throw if they get down early, and I think we'll see some of those volume fantasy points. He was the QB2 in week 1 in most fantasy leagues, and he's only rostered in 8% of Yahoo leagues. So that's what I would roll with. And then I like Sam Howell again. This one, I don't necessarily love the matchup this week because the Denver defense isn't the Arizona defense, although the Arizona defense did do well, which we'll get to later. But Sam Howell, he's at the Broncos. He ran for a touchdown. So he's got 2 starts, 2 rushing touchdowns in his NFL career so far. Looked pretty sharp for much of the game. He had a couple bonehead plays, had that bad fumble, but outside of that, not too bad. Jimmy G didn't look terrible against Denver in a win. We talked about that. So I like Sam Howell. And then as a desperation start, if you absolutely need somebody else, Baker Mayfield's at home against the Bears, and the Bears are terrible. So, they gave up 3 touchdown passes to Jordan Love. It looks like that defense is not any better than it was at the end of last season. Baker didn't light up the scoreboard, but he had a pair of touchdowns, no picks. Tampa still has great weapons. So, I kind of like it. So I would kind of go with Baker as a last-ditch effort. Only rostered in 10% of leagues. Sam Howell, only 22% of leagues, by the way. I'm surprised Howell wasn't picked up a lot there toward the end of last week. What do you think, Jen?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, if we're looking at a straight-up, single quarterback league, then yeah, I get why he's still there. But if people are going to start grabbing backups, as they probably will, once, the first quarterback went down for the season, he's not going to be the last. So I expect his rostership to go up as the weeks go on. And especially if he plays well, like you said. I mean, he was fine. I started him in my Scott Fishbowl over Matt Stafford, and I don't regret it.
No. I like it. Grandpa Atlas has a question for us, wants to know, Luke Musgrave, Hayden Hurst, or Zach Ertz rest of season. You already kind of discussed Musgrave over Hurst you kind of liked. So I'm just wondering, does Zach Ertz change that dynamic for you?
No, because I think that Ertz, now that Arizona team, I wouldn't count on them every week. I think Musgrave would be the guy I would pick up out of those 3 rest of season. If you're going to pick someone and ride with them for a while, then yeah, I'd go with Musgrave.
Excellent. And Tyler, I don't mind playing Stroud over Jimmy G against Arizona if that's the way you want to go. It does look like Houston's probably going to throw the ball. So, Jen,
yes.
Is it a good week to stream tight ends?
It's actually a decent week to stream tight ends. Yes. I don't hate it at all. We have options, which is good because we may not have them as the season rolls on. But at the moment, we do have options. First option is the same option as I had last week, is Jake Ferguson. He's still only 38% rostered. He led the Cowboys in targets with 7. Now, granted, that was a weird game, right? I mean, they won 40-0. Dak only completed 13 passes, and they won 40-0. So very weird game. But yeah, Jake Ferguson was the target leader. The Jets are decent, but they allowed 7 catches for 51 yards to Buffalo tight ends last night. So Ferguson is still there. He's my number 1 guy. I think, and I said this last week, he probably won't be streamable starting after this week, but he's still 38%, so he's there.
Do we almost throw out that game? Because game script was funky and
Yeah,
everything was weird.
I
I almost
know
throw
it
that
was.
out.
I know it was strange, but it was still encouraging that he was the target leader. I mean, that'll
Oh,
never happen.
absolutely.
It won't happen again. I can't imagine that CeeDee Lamb is going to take a backseat to Jake Ferguson anytime soon, but it happened. So,
Absolutely.
it was a very strange game all around. I mean, I can't imagine that anybody saw the Giants getting shut out like that. The whole thing was really weird.
Yeah,
It was
really strange.
Yeah.
Although I will take that Pollard got goal line touches. That was very. I thought that was probably what I took from the game.
Right. Okay, so that's my first guy. Second guy we're going to go to is Hunter Henry, playing against Miami. He's 16% rostered right now. The Patriots, their pass catching room is kind of a mess. I mean, you've got Devontae Parker and Tyquan Thornton are hurt, so I feel like he's kind of stepping in there where they're lacking. And Miami allowed Darnold, Parham, and Everett to put up decent numbers, and they were third. And Miami was 31st in adjusted fantasy points allowed to tight ends last season. So good matchup. He appears to be emerging there in that offense as a good weapon for Mac Jones. So, and he's only 16% rostered. So Hunter Henry for this week, I'm on it. Let's see. Third guy, we just talked about him, Luke Musgrave at Atlanta. He's only 19% rostered. His NFL debut, he had 3 catches for 50 yards. Like, you can't really, you can't complain from that from a rookie tight end. That's decent. He's the clear tight end 1. I know there were question marks coming into the season, but he's the guy. And Atlanta was gouged by Hayden Hurst last week. So grab yourself some Musgrave if you need him. He's available in 81% of leagues. So those are my 3 guys.
Plus Luke Musgrave, Oregon State alumni. Tyler brought that up. Go Beavers, Tyler. Thank you for bringing up the Oregon State Beavers, a fellow fan. Always happy with that. Great tight end options. Maybe this season won't be the wasteland that we always have.
Don't say that. You know exactly how it's going to go.
We have a question from Kells22. What to do with Dalvin Cook? I mean, he got 13 carries, so I think he's there. I think he's kind of what we thought he'd be. Obviously, you want to see more done with those carries than what he did against the Bills. But I think, generally speaking, I think Cook is somebody you can plug in on a bye week and kind of hold your teeth a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, same. I don't know that he's a guy that I'd count on as a, in my RB1 slot or anything, but I think he'll have good weeks. It's going to be one of those, as we say, mental gymnastics every week of, do I start him, do I not? But once the bye weeks kick in, it'll be all right.
Excellent. So, Jen, another very important question I have for you. Is it a good week to stream kickers?
Not really. Well, it's okay. Actually, it's better. At first I was looking at it and I was like, it's a weird. Okay, how about this? It's a weird week to stream kickers. All the kickers are like rookies. It's like rookie fest this week, this year, whatever it is. They're pretty much all rookies except one. I have my streaming article where I have 6 guys and I believe 5 of them are rookies. So, or not necessarily, rookies or first timers in the league. But yeah, first guy we have this week is Jake Moody, rookie for the 49ers. They are playing hold on, I have look at this. Oh, I guess I thought I wrote it down somewhere. Maybe I didn't. All right. So Jake Moody on the road against the Rams. They have a where is that? I am so sorry, but I know I wrote this out and now it's going to drive me crazy.
He's got the Rams.
All right, I got it. No, I got it. Sorry. Let's just rewind. Okay, Moody at the Rams. He's 19% rostered. He was tied for kicker 4 last week with 12 fantasy points. They have a 26.25 implied team total, and they're favored by 8. So fire up Moody. I like him there. Second guy, I have another, rookie. Like we said last week, he came from college soccer. He came from the USFL, whatever. But Brandon Aubrey, kicker for the Dallas, at home against the Jets. He's only 3% rostered, which I'm very surprised about that. A Dallas kicker is always good, and he's only 3% rostered. He had 10 points last week.
Yeah, shocking to me.
He had 10 points last week in his NFL debut. He's at home in Jerry World. They're at 24.75 implied team total, and they're 7.5 point favorites. So once again, Brandon Aubrey is a great pickup or a great streamer for that. Third guy I have is the only non-rookie, and that's Chase McLaughlin for the Bucs. They're at home against the Bears, who we just talked about were absolutely abysmal last week. And he's only 1% roster. He nailed a 57-yarder last week. He had another one too. I think it was like 37-something yards. But yeah, he nailed a 57-yarder. He hosts the Bears. Not the hugest implied team total, 22.25, and they're a field goal favorite, 3 points. But if you're in a deeper league, he's only 1% rostered. So Chase McLaughlin is your other guy there. And then of course I have a bonus because I always have a bonus. Another rookie, Blake Grupe for New Orleans, playing on the road against Carolina. He's only 2% rostered. He was tied for kicker 4 last week too. So he had a great week. They have 22 implied team total, and they are 3.5 point favorites. So he's another guy you can get. He's free. He's everywhere.
Dynamite name too. Blake Grupe is a dynamite kicker name.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all those guys are great. I've got Brandon Aubrey and Jake Moody kind of interspersed throughout my leagues. Like those are kind of my kickers right now.
I don't because I drafted Greg Joseph, who disappointed me. He disappointed me last week. Well, I think the whole team was kind of a disappointment last week. I mean, not fantasy-wise. Justin Jefferson was not. Kirk Cousins was fine, whatever. But, Greg Joseph was not as I thought he would. So, but I do have waiver claims in for Moody and Aubrey and every guy I just named pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Raymond Navarro just popped in a question. Chigagonku is available, and it's a half PPR league. They have Musgrave, though. Would you rather have Chigagonku or Musgrave?
I'd probably stay with Musgrave. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill right now. That he was really bad. They were just not great. So I think Musgrave is in a better position. Chig might be fine, but he did. I think he had nothing, right? Did he have a big?
Yeah, he gave you because I think he had 0 catches on 1 target or something like that.
Which of course is not gonna. That's not gonna. I mean, sure. He's gonna have production, but I think Musgrave. If you already have him, I would stay put.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question from Ventro. They have Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy on the same team. They also have Devontae Smith. Should they keep both or trade one? If so, which Broncos should they trade? I would trade one, and whichever one will get you the biggest return, which is probably Sutton right now. But you never know. You might hold off a couple weeks, and Jeudy comes back. Jeudy's probably the better long-term option. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I would trade Sutton. Without question there. I think Judy's just the better, I think they like Jeudy better, and I think he's just a better wide receiver. I think Sutton, I don't know, for some reason they're just not into him. It just doesn't seem to be happening with him there. So I would trade Sutton if you can.
Yeah, I like that very much. Okay, let's before we get into our defensive streamers, I want to take a minute to talk about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. Go to prizepicks.com/accurate. Use code ACCURATE for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. You can pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Last week, I took advantage. They had a Dak Prescott special. They offered to throw out there for just more than 0.5 passing yards. So it's nice. They run similar specials regularly. Always kind of worth sniffing that out. For week 2, I'm eyeing that Tony Pollard more than 1 touchdown projection against the Jets after he got goal line work against the Giants on Sunday night. I think, that Dallas offense looks like it's going to run through Pollard. So I like the idea of him getting more than 0.5 touchdowns. So to get that touchdown. Jen, do you have a Prize Pick player that you're looking at for next week?
I do. I found a little play that I like. Dallas Goedert, more than 4 receptions. He had 0. He had 0 last week. I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a tweet from friend, not necessarily friend of the show, but friend in general, Heath Cummings from CBS. He sent a tweet. He said, the last time Dallas Goedert blanked was week 12 of the 2021 season. And the next week he had 6 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm down for more than 4 receptions.
No, I like it. I like it. From the let's not panic about week 1 category.
Yes. I figure, So the last time he blanked, he came out the next week and had 6 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he just needs to get more than 4 for me. So that's what I'm going with.
Excellent. I love it. Remember, players can choose from a vast selection of sports, not just football and stat types not offered anywhere else. They can even pick in-game projections after a game has started, which includes halves, quarters, periods, and more. For example, at halftime, you can pick on Patrick Mahomes to pass it, Patrick Mahomes passing yards for more in the second half. I'm going to have to work on that copy. Don't forget to go to prizepicks.com/accurate and use code accurate for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. So back to streaming, defensive streaming. It's a good week to stream defenses again. There's some good options out there. I do want to mention real quick, the Cardinals at home against the Giants is very tempting because the Cardinals were the defense special teams too last week. And the Giants, for all intents and purposes, just crap the middle of the field. I'm going to say wait and see with the Cardinals. I'm not going to trot them out there. I think the Giants offense is going to be better than that. I think the Cardinals defense isn't particularly good. So just wait and see on that Cardinals defense. Instead, go after the Packers. The Packers were the defense special team 3 last week against the Bears. Now the Bears stink. We talked about that. They had 4 sacks and 2 turnovers. Second-year former first-round pick Devontae Wyatt looked like a beast up front. I think that's going to continue. Lots of things to really be into. Remember, they were tied for 11th with 24 forced turnovers last year. Falcons just gave up 4 sacks to the Panthers. So they're going to be at the Falcons. They looked a little rough with that passing game. I think the Packers are going to be a good quality defense. You could probably even hang on to. They're still rostered in only 32% of Yahoo leagues. The other one, I'm going to go with the Browns. They're rostered in only 10%. Look, the Bengals are going to be better than they were in week 1. I'm not panicking about the Bengals. But the Browns, you got it. It's not nothing to hold the Bengals offense to 3 points. I think that's at least worth considering. Myles Garrett is a monster and probably will be on the short list of Defensive Player of the Year this year. They're at the Steelers, who were obliterated by the 49ers last week. Now, I think the Steelers are going to be better this week and moving forward, but they gave up 5 sacks in week 1. They turned the ball over twice. Those are things that the Browns are going to be good at this year. So 10% roster. Browns are a good quality defense. And then once again, kind of like Baker Mayfield, if you're desperate, the Buccaneers are at home against the Bears. So, Bears gave up 4 sacks, 2 turnovers to the Packers. Tampa had 2 sacks, forced 3 turnovers by the Vikings. And they held Alexander Mattison and Ty Chandler to just 34 yards and 14 carries. So the Tampa Bay defense still good against the run. Quality option there. They're rostered in just 21% of Yahoo leagues. So good defenses available. It's a good streaming week overall. I'm kind of excited, Ted. What do you think?
Listen, for week 2, I'll take it, right? We have options. We both know how this goes. As we get farther into the season, we're going to be clamoring for bodies to put in, especially at tight end. So yeah, for now, there's good options. All these guys that we're talking about are going to be rostered more than 40% within the next week or 2, and we will be at the bottom of the dregs again. But for now, yes, good kickers, good tight ends, good quarterbacks, good defenses. It is good in the streaming world.
Awesome. Let's hit up a couple more questions. Ill-Mind Jedi, thanks for the question. Wants to know if they should trade Devontae Smith and Brian Robinson for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. They have depth at wide receiver and running back. I don't know. What do you think, Jen?
I like it. I mean, you're kind of, you got 2 guys on the same team. If you think the Lions are legit, then I would do it.
Okay. I could kind of go either way on that. If you've got the depth, Amon-Ra is an upgrade over Devontae Smith. So
yes,
I'm okay with that as long as you won't miss Brian Robinson. It sounds like you won't. So I'm okay with that. I was kind of encouraged by Brian Robinson's usage.
No, it was, and I was going to say it also depends on your tight end situation. If you need an upgrade, which let's face it, most people do already, then Laporta.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Lindorphins lost J.K. Dobbins, looking for help at running back. Would you trade Ramondre Stevenson and Joe Burrow? Oh, trade for Stevenson and Burrow, giving up Hurts and Akers.
I mean, I would give up Akers all day. You know that. I'm not an Akers fan, but I don't know if I would give up Hurts for anything. That's a tough give up. I don't know. What do you think, Brandon?
I think it's the Hurts. It's not the Akers, despite my Akers love all offseason. I'm not an idiot. I did see what happened in week 1. So I do think Akers did get touches, so that's at least encouraging. I don't think he's done in that offense, but it certainly seems like more of a timeshare than I wanted it to be. So Akers is probably the one week 1 thing that I said
I
over the
cannot
offseason
wait.
that I'm worried about.
I can't wait for our bet. I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like an avatar or something.
Yeah,
for
Twitter avatar. Yeah,
I can't wait.
We're gonna see, but I'm already not feeling good about that one.
if I recall, I think the bet was that Akers was going to be a top 10 running back, right?
I think I said 15, but because I've been
I'll
drafting
give you
him
15 now. I think it was 10, but I'll give you 15 now.
Because I've been drafting him as an RB2. So I don't think I would have said 10, but either way, fine.
We can go to the tape.
I honestly don't think it's gonna matter.
We can go to the tape because I don't think it was on the show. I think it was actually like on Twitter or something.
It was, and I couldn't find the tweet, so I hope you can find it. Because if you can find it, because I looked.
Oh, I'll find it. Don't you worry.
Yeah. And if it's top 10, I don't doubt you at all. I just genuinely don't remember. So.
No, I'm sure it was 15. I don't know. I would have taken it. You could have.
I also don't think it's going to matter. 15 to 10.
See. We'll see.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. But yeah, I would probably stick with Hurts because Stevenson has his own question marks. You know what I mean? So I would probably stick with Hurts. Let's see here. So let's go to.
Oh, he found it.
There we go. Top
Sal
15.
Found it. Oh, 15. Okay.
I did say top 15. So
thank you, Sal.
Thank you, Sal, for finding that. Okay. So, let's go to our secret stash segment. I think we've hit up the questions. I think we're up to date. So let's go to our secret stash segment, Jen.
All right, let's. First guy I have is for week 3 specific, right? I'm going to give you one guy for there and then 2 guys for later on to stash. One guy I have for week 3, speaking of tight ends, since we've been talking much about him, Adam Trautman of the Denver Broncos. He plays Miami in week 3. He is currently 0% rostered. Greg Dulcich is hurt. He's got a hamstring injury. Not sure how long he's going to be out, but they play Miami, who they were 31st in tight end adjusted fantasy points allowed last year, and they gave up 12.9 fantasy points to the Charger tight ends last week. So this week, if it depends on what you have, but if you need a week 3 guy, stash now, Adam Trautman. Like I said, he's available in 100% of Yahoo leagues, which I found odd because I'm in a league where he's not available because I'm in a kind of it's a home league here in Denver, and I know someone drafted him. So I kind of poo-poo the Yahoo numbers there because I know it's not 0. But anyway, he's very widely available. So he's your week 3 guy. And then 2 guys I have that are kind of deeper, right? I mean, everyone gives your standard waiver wire who to pick up, but these are stash guys. So these are guys for future. First guy I have is Calvin Austin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, you got Deontay Johnson out for a couple weeks, right? And everyone's going to be running to grab A-Rob, which it's Allen Robinson, right? We've seen kind of what's happened the last couple of years. So while everyone goes to get him, you get Calvin Austin. He was he was a training camp darling for the Steelers. They loved him. There was a lot of hype around him. He last year got injured and didn't get to play, but supposedly, he's come back. He's healthy. He's good. So he's kind of a secret guy. He's only 1% rostered right now. And so he's a guy you can kind of go after and stash on your bench at the end if you have the room, just in case Deontay ends up being out for multiple weeks. You can kind of have him in your pocket in case he randomly blows up this week instead of A-Rob and then everyone goes to get him. You'll already have him. So that's my first guy. Second guy is Roschon Johnson. I mean, a lot of people, there was definitely plenty of hype surrounding him, and then it kind of died down because it is crowded there, and he is only 16% rostered, and the Bears stunk. However, he had 7 targets. Sure, most of them were in garbage time, but he also bullied himself into the end zone as well. So he had enough usage that I feel like he's going to emerge at some point. He's going to play his way into a larger role, and you might as well grab him now while he's only 16% rostered.
Excellent. Great stash options. Ted, a couple more questions before we close out for the day. Tyler wants to know James Conner or Antonio Gibson in a PPR or Christian Kirk. For me, that's definitely Conner. It's just I just trust the carries the most, and Arizona plays the Giants, so I think a touchdown is pretty likely there. What do you think, Jen?
I don't see. I didn't even hear you because I don't see it. Usually, you it's like somewhere on the screen. Oh, there we go. Conner or Gibson. Oh, okay. Kirk, Conner. Yeah, I mean, I think that, Laporta I don't hate there. Gibson is a bummer because I have a lot of Gibson and he's going to be in the doghouse, Ron Rivera likes the doghouse for people that fumble. So I feel like he's going to live there for a while until he works his way out. And Brian Robinson was good, so he doesn't even really, unfortunately need to do that. Connor is going to get plenty of carries. So yeah, I mean, I'd say Connor, but I don't hate Laporta either.
Okay, interesting. And K Peeps in a full PPR wants to know who they should play in their flex. Zay Jones, Drake London, Jahan Dotson, or Courtland Sutton. That's tough. I mean, for me, that's Dotson or Sutton. What do you think, Jen?
See, I would say I kind of like, where did it go? I hate when you do that because now I don't know where. Okay, thank you. God, I feel like London is such a bad game, but there's so much potential there. And I like Zay Jones. I like them all. I don't love Sutton though. I just, like I said earlier, I don't trust the Denver offense. And I feel like he's the one part of it that is just not, they're not loving him right now. So I would go with Dotson, London, or Jones. And I know you can only pick one, and I'm sorry, but I can't. I'll give you 3 out of 4.
I'm going to go with Dotson for the fun option. There we go.
Okay.
Zay might be the safest option just based on him getting the Z receiver looks last week. So yep. I kind of like that. Tyler, we love the conversation. Don't worry about commenting too much. Thank you to everybody in the chat and everybody who joins us. We love this conversation. It always peps me up and puts me in a better mood after I get to chat football with Jen.
Yes, Brandon was in a very bad mood coming into this. He's had a rough day. So thank you all in the chat for making him in a better mood.
It's true. I'm feeling much better. And thank you, Jen. You always put me in a better mood as well. It's always a pleasure. Listeners, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. We're here every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come join us throughout the season live on the 4for4 YouTube channel and discuss streamers that'll get you through your fantasy season. You can follow us on Twitter at Jen Akins NFL and at 2GuysBrandon. Thanks for checking us out and have a good day.